What is going on, guys? My name is Ramen, back again from Ramen Reviews here, and this is going to be a completely unscripted little video that I'm going to be doing. And if you guys can't tell from the title of this video, it's not going to be an anime reaction, which is what I normally do, or talk about really anime in general. I'm going to be talking about the anime community and something that's been going on in the actual scene lately that's kind of been pissing me off. Now, if you guys don't know who Vic Mignogna is, he's been recently popped up in the anime community news lately as someone who has done some sexual harassment and sexual assault, but unfortunately, or for them, there is zero proof of what he's done outside of testimonies. Now, if you don't know who Vic Mignogna is, he is a very, very popular voice actor. In fact, one of his most popular and most famous roles is Ed, or Edward Elric, from Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is one of my favorite series, but that's a story for neither here nor there. But Vic Mignogna has been known to be very overly familiar with people when he does his meets and greets and his fan meetups and his signings. He is known to be very handsy by means of holding people or hugging people when they take a picture with him. And he's also been known to occasionally kiss someone on the cheek. Whether or not it's on a guy as well, compared to girls, I'm not entirely sure. But from what I've seen, he has done that to some girls. And from what I've seen, I can see why people would take offense to that, especially nowadays in this day and age where all you need to do is say hi to a girl and you'll be on the next Me Too movement. But I've seen this from my own family and people in other parts of America and other parts of the world too, that this is just a common greeting. I know people who hug people when they first meet someone for the first time where I live. It just happens to be how they're grown up and how they do things, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, nowadays, like I said, he probably should not have done any type of kissing on the cheek. I mean, if it was the lips, I would completely disagree with that in general, but from what I've seen and from what the quote-unquote proof is, he is shown having placed his lips on someone's cheek or someone's temple or someone's head. And I can see how some people might see that uncomfortable, but looking at it this way, from the people who are claiming up and stepping out and talking about these things, these have got to be people who are in the line and seeing this happen. You're in a line, you're wanting to get a picture with Vic, and you want to get something signed with Vic, and he might ask, hey, do you want to take a picture with me? And you can see this unless you're totally oblivious for some odd reason, but the fact that you're in a line meetup, I've done the same thing when I was in a line meetup for someone who I wanted to get a signing for. I was so focused on that person because, like, oh my gosh, they're so many feet in front of me and I can see them right here, and I've always heard their voice or I've always seen their work and they're right there. Your focusing is on there. I know that because I've been that way. Some people might not be that way, but majority of people, especially fans, if you're going for a fan meetup, are going to have that kind of mentality. So you're going to be paying attention to what they're doing. So if you're in line, unless every single one of these people who are making these claims are the very first person in line and are totally blindsided by this, which I call bullshit on, then that you might make a case, but like I said, I call bullshit. So if you're in line, let's say you're the 7th person in line, you've waited hours, therefore you're already dedicated, and you've already are like foaming at the mouth, you're like waiting to see your person you're looking forward to get a sign or whatever, and you can see him take a picture, do his hug, do his little kiss on the temple or head or cheek, whatever. Why don't you just say, nah, I'm good, or maybe I'll give you a hug, just don't kiss me on the cheek? What is preventing you to do that? My guess, they're not. And I honestly think that this is kind of a witch hunt. Why? I have no idea. It honestly baffles me. I have no idea why they would target Vic. There are people in the industry that he's directly worked with who are speaking out, but they're not getting the time of the day. Why? Because they're focusing on paying attention to one other voice actress who came out with the claim, but they're not paying attention to the other many. Probably, I'm pretty sure there's multiple people coming out in support of Vic saying, no, he's not like that. He's a really good guy. He just does that with everyone. but they're not going to give them that time of day. Why? Because then that would make them look like they're kind of blowing things out of proportion, which I kind of think they are. But yeah, Vic has lost his job. Funimation has terminated his contract. Same thing with Rooster Teeth. I don't know any. Honestly, I'm not sure what he's worked in recently. I could look it up, but I know he was working with Rooster Teeth as Crow. He was the voice of Crow, and Rooster Teeth has decided to cut ties with him. And from a business standpoint, that is their right to do it. They can do whatever they want. That is their business, and they are allowed to do what they want. I'm not going to say they shouldn't have done that. It's their business. They can do whatever they want to with their contracts. I disagree with it because I am under the notion that everyone should be innocent until proven guilty, especially as someone myself who has been accused of something, which I never did. It wasn't sexual assault, thank God, but it was something, if not as bad or worse, which, not going to go too much into details, but during middle school, I was accused of having a hit list on a group of people, and authorities were called, and I remember that day. I spent quite a few hours in the office trying to explain myself that I don't have a hit list, and I was just a very socially awkward kid and who was kind of a sociopath. But I'm a little better now. But I've also known people who have been accused of sexual assault when they never have, and it's horribly ruined their lives during that moment. Thank God they were able to bounce back. But Vic has been accused of something with no tangible proof. There is zero formal complaints, and there was zero police reports on any of this. This is all hearsay, and I hate hearsay because, unfortunately, I can see why people will get into that, because people are responding through emotional distress and emotions, or basically, if they get hit with any type of something that hits them emotionally, they're going to react to it, and they're going to side with that because that hits their emotions. And humans are emotional creatures. We are, and I'm not blaming humans for that, and I'm not blaming people for sticking to emotions, but you got to also realize that you can't just go purely into emotions. You got to look at everything entirely. Now, if proof comes out, and there is tangible proof, there is pictures, there's video, there is actual statements from police where it's confirmed, and the pictures that are shown, the ones that he's hugging, and there's like stories behind it, but you don't see anything. Like, there was a picture I saw where he's hugging someone and his hand is behind a girl's jacket, and it looks like he's just hugging her and that his hand's just under her jacket, but there's like a quote saying like, yeah, he unzipped her skirt, or he unzipped a zipper some way, and there's zero proof of that in the actual photo. So that's just hearsay, unless I can still see proof, like I said. So unfortunately, we live in an era, or I would say actually era nowadays, where we go follow the mob mentality, and I hate that, because mob mentality will more than often be wrong, especially nowadays. Anything politically or anything emotionally driven, it's gonna have a mob mentality, and most of the time they're freaking out over things where the full facts or the details are not even completely released, kind of like this entire situation. Now, the main reason why this pissed me off as well is that I don't want to see this in the anime community. Vic Mignogna, I've heard he's a pretty good guy from people who have, I've read some things during the Full Metal Alchemist, because it's one of my favorite series, as I said, and I've read about it and just heard people talk about other voice actresses and working together and saying how so-and-so is so fun to work with, and voice acting directors are talking about how so-and-so was such a pleasure to work with, and I heard these good things about him, so it just kind of boggles me why it just coming out of the blue. And everyone, and I know a lot of people, even on my Twitter, who I follow and I'm friends with, who are throwing him under the bus, and I'm like, don't. There is zero proof. I don't listen to hearsay, because that is not how you should ever run things, because listening to hearsay, more than often, there's more to the story, and in this case, there's actually less to the story, because they don't have anything. It's just a bunch of, in my opinion, just a bunch of malarkey. But I will say this: if there ever comes a point where there is proof that comes out, tangible proof, I will retract my entire statement and I will stand by your side firmly, because no one should be sexually assaulted, no one should be sexually harassed, and I agree. But you can't just be labeling people just because it fits your agenda or that you're emotionally inclined to do so, because if you do that, you're not going to go that far. And in fact, it's going to cause a lot of problems and you don't realize, because right now, think about it. Think about this. If you are completely wrong and what they're saying is honestly just an attempt to ruin his life, well, it worked. And if you guys are wrong, you just helped ruin someone's life. Good job on that. That's all I got to say on this subject. If I'm right, hopefully people can at least keep an open mind on things. And if I'm wrong, I will recheck my statements and I will apologize and I will stand by you. Simple as that. But that's all I got to say on this subject. I know this is not something that I normally do. I don't normally do these kinds of serious videos, but it just seemed like constantly seeing my Twitter timeline just be bombarded with these kick Vic things without any proof, and it just seems like people are jumping on a bandwagon in this case, and it just frustrates me, especially in the anime community, which I don't want that to happen. I want it to be a nice, tight-knit group of people that all we care about is talking about who's the best, whose wife was better than theirs, and which fight scenes are the best, or who's the best husbando, I guess. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see people up in arms about kicking someone, ruining someone's life when there's a chance that they can be wrong. That's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.